Richard Hattersley here, live from Accountex, and as always, every year, cloud is the word on everyone's lips. But the common misconception is that once you've adopted cloud, that's it, you're a pioneering firm. But it takes a little bit extra than just cloud to be a pioneering firm. To chew over this topic, we've assembled a trio of pioneering firms. We've got Alex Falcon-Huerta from Soren Falcon Accountancy. Hi, Alex.
Hi, how you doing?
And we're also joined by Will Farnell from Farnell Clark.
Hi, Richard.
Hi, Will. And we're also joined by Simon Kalu from SRK Accounting.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. So thanks very much for joining us here at Accountex. And you've all been picked because you are pioneering firms, or you are the firms which are really the modern practices. So I guess over to you, what do you think it is that makes a modern practice? Will, first with you.
So I think the whole expectation from clients is shifting, and I think what all three of us here have done is recognise that client expectations are different. So we were 100% cloud practice from 2009, so we've kind of used technology as our USP for a good chunk of the last 9 years. But actually, you wander around here today and actually everyone can buy the same technology that we might have been using before everybody else, but actually that's not enough anymore. It's about how can you use that technology to enhance the experience that clients get from working with us as accounting firms.
So technology really is in the background, is the foundation of the firm, but there's much, much more that you can do. Alex?
I think you have to remember why you're implementing the technology in the first place. And the majority of the time is to automate, to give ourselves back time. So the time that we're getting back is then used to spend time with clients or family or friends, etc.
And Simon, what do you think makes a modern practice?
So I agree with both of these guys. In terms of the technology, we've been 100% cloud as well since we started. And it's kind of a double-edged sword, I guess. 90%, I think 85-90% of businesses are still not in the cloud. So I think it still does make you modern to be a cloud practice and to be able to help people move to the cloud. But to be within that niche, a modern firm, so an ultra-modern firm, I think it's about using those numbers that sit within the cloud and how do you help your clients grow their businesses or build great businesses. So how do you use the numbers to tell a story? How do you help the client create a financial plan or a business plan? How do you give advice and coaching to that client? Because I think, I don't know whether you guys agree, but in 5 years, maybe 10 years, the compliance side will be gone and people won't necessarily come to accountants for accounts filing. So what are we going to do? Certain firms might help with tax planning. We like to help with strategic coaching, but we'll have to sort of expand what we do as a business, and we're doing that, and we're moving into every other service that a business or a client would need to help them grow, if that makes sense, and not just accounting.
Yeah, so you mentioned there about how this overall affects the clients. So what do you do then? What sort of services do you do? More and more, people skills is as important as ever. So panel, what do you think? People skills, what does a modern practice do with people skills? How do you approach them? And why is people skills more important now than ever? Who wants to go first?
In terms of people skills, I have coaching sessions with my team because it's really important that they understand how to communicate to a client. So the technology is amazing, it's going to do 80% of it, but we still need to explain to that client what that information is telling us. So it was important for me to educate my team to make sure that when they're delivering something to a client, that they're speaking to them in a language that they understand.
I think that what firms need to do is we're all being told we've got to do this shift to advisory, and compliance is dying. I mean, it's changing. I think that's the first point, is that we still live or die by getting compliance right. So it's still a fundamental thing that we have to do as a firm. But you can go out to the market and you can buy compliance for 20 quid a month. So if people want to be compliant, it's a race to the bottom, and only one person can be the cheapest. So if we're doing this shift to advisory, it's kind of advise what is it that we're going to advise, and what skills do we need? So I think that's where the shift is occurring, in terms of what kind of people do we need to bring into our firm, and then how do we attract those people? Do we as accounting firms that have traditionally used AAT, ACCA, ICAW need to start looking at senior accountants and people that have got a wider knowledge base, and that presupposes that your advisory is still financially related advisory, and as Simon says, actually it's got to be more than that. So how do we identify the skill gaps and work with our teams to build that capability to deliver those added value services?
Recruitment is a big one, especially when it comes to modern practice. More than ever, recruitment is as difficult as ever. So being a modern practice, it obviously makes recruitment a little bit more easier because you're seen as this modern, progressive firm. So how do you guys approach recruitment? Simon, starting with you, what's your approach?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. So we used to sort of do traditional recruitment. We had an ACA grad program and we recruited at a more senior level as well. And we would either use recruitment agents, but we would use traditional interviewing process, testing, looking at the CV. And I think it worked okay for us, but it's a bit hit and miss. So we do a lot more of behavioural and cultural recruitment now. So we talk to the guys in line with our values. So the first thing was actually establish what our values are, not the values that we want to put on our website to attract prospective clients, but what are our real core values as a firm, and ask potential team members questions around those values so they would demonstrate whether they sit within the values or outside, if that makes sense, as opposed to just looking at their CV and giving them a yes or a no. And that's been great for us. We've hired some amazing people that we wouldn't have necessarily put through just looking at the CV in the past.
I think culture is really an important aspect of recruitment, and Alex, your firm really, when it comes to culture, you have that edge of a firm because you are so cloud-based. And what's your thoughts on when it comes to culture and recruitment?
Kind of similar to what Simon was saying in terms of how we bring people into the business. We look at all their information, but also we look to see that they want a future in a business that's growing, and to make sure that they've got the right mindset and the right attitude when they come in. It's not a 9 to 5 job, and it's about using the technology. They're getting a career out of it, to become a fully qualified accountant. And so we get them involved in all sorts of areas, and to make sure that they can then multitask. In terms of what we offer to make our practice different, yes, we are a modern firm, yes, we are an award-winning firm, but we also have like a flexibility approach as well. So they don't have to come in with their suits, they've got the flexible hours as well, so they can come in at 10 and then leave a little bit later as well. And so it's just having that. It's really tough industry and you have to do a lot of work to get there, but it's then having that environment outside of it where it's a little bit more relaxed.
You mentioned something before in the past about how goals are important for your employees, and would you like to speak about one of that example in particular? About, was it gym membership or something along those lines?
Oh, so we did implement personal training sessions. And we thought it would be a really good idea to get the team involved in personal training sessions where they've got a one-to-one coach, where they finish like the end of their day, and then they go and have this amazing session and somebody's pushing them, making sure that they're achieving their goals within that session, because you can always do that 10% more. And I recently did that. I have sessions myself, and I know, like, even when I'm completely exhausted, that little bit of a push, like, you can just get that little bit more out. And that same mindset is like really important in that day-to-day role as well. And then at the end of the thing, we then have like a team building session and then make sure everyone's having fun at the same time.
I feel a really bad employer now.
I thought this was an interesting point, going from personal training to having a pub in your office.
Exactly. It's like Alex puts her team through training and mental and physical well-being, and we get them drinking beer on a Friday afternoon.
Well, that's how important that is, because it's not every firm that has a pub actually within their offices. So what's that actually meant to the staff morale and actually building that community within your practice?
It is a culture thing, and I said at the beginning that actually it's about being a modern firm is about responding to shifting client expectations, but actually our workforce expectations are changing as well. We want to engage with millennial clients, and that means we need to engage with the millennial staff. So the stat 75% of the workforce by 2025 are going to be millennials, which means we're going to have those kind of people as our clients as well. So our culture is much about attracting the right clients as well as the right staff. We struggle because we're in this really awkward place that we're too big to be a small firm and too small to be a big firm. And generally when people are looking for a job, they either say, I want to work for a big firm or I want to work for a small firm, and nobody wants to work for the firm in the middle. So what we wanted to do was actually demonstrate that we were a different option and a different proposition, and we did a very big office refit, and it's about flexible workspace, it's about kind of making it a lively place to be, and as part of that we put a pub-themed meeting room into our office, complete with bar and pool table, and Friday afternoon, 4 o'clock, everyone has a beer before they go home.
We're almost out of time, so we'll be going back to yours, Will, for a drink. But before we finish, Simon, we mentioned there about workspace and the importance of attracting clients and attracting employees. Can you talk to us about your workspace and how important this is for additional training as well and interacting with your ideal clients?
Sure. Yeah, I think, and every business is different, so fitness is massively important to us, and health and nutrition. And we'd love to have a pub in the office if we could afford it and we had the space. But what we've been doing is also concentrating on learning and development, but bespoke for every member of the team. So we'll sit down with every single member of our team and we'll set goals. So what do they want to achieve? Where would they like to be? What kind of skills would they like? So for example, one of the more junior members of my team is coming with me this afternoon to stand up on stage and speak, because that was something that he wanted help with. So I've been coaching him on speaking, and we've been sending him to courses and giving him learning and development. So there's that side of it. Also, we give everyone a Headspace mindfulness subscription, so they can meditate in work time if they want to. And we give people semi-unlimited Audible and Amazon book purchases, just so they can get that vibe that we want them to develop as individuals. Whatever that might be, everyone is different. Some people would never want to stand up on stage and speak publicly. Other people might want to do that. So they're all going to have their own goals, but we work with them to find out what they are, and then sort of try and match some services that we provide or external parties provide to help them achieve their goals.
So to finish up, key takeaways then, if you're going to be, you've done cloud, you've done all your cloud, now you want to go to the next step, you want to do a little bit more than just cloud. What would be the first starting point, your key takeaway? Who wants to go first? What would be the first step? Will, let's start with you.
I think it's absolutely about client experience. So for me, at the heart of everything that we should be doing is about recognising the experience our clients get from interacting with us as a business, and it's about how can technology help us deliver that experience and take that to another level. Customer service is kind of a baseline. You've got to do that. If not, you fail. But if you want a USP, it's about taking that customer service to customer experience.
So focus on your customer, focus on your client, and then everything else just becomes natural from that, just filters from that. Simon?
I mean, we always say that we help our clients build great businesses so they can have great lives. And one of our number one project right now is to get every client's goals documented, business and personal goals. Because if you don't really understand what the client's trying to achieve, how are you going to match services to help them achieve those goals? So I think the biggest thing is actually if you're in the cloud, don't just file the accounts, don't just do the management accounts, chuck them the set of numbers, actually sit down with the client and try to understand what do they want to achieve. And maybe there are some additional services that you could provide that will help them get there faster.
Wonderful. Alex, finishing with you, what would be the key takeaway you'd like someone to come away if they want to be that modern practice?
You say the key takeaway is pretty similar to what these guys have said. It's so important to be able to have a chat with your client, who are friends nowadays, and to be able to have a conversation and say, look, where do you want to be? What do you want to do? what's important to you, how can I help you get there? You have become a mentor and a coach to them, not the accountant anymore.
Okay, well, I think we've found some really useful skills from today's session, from becoming a mentor to the culture within your firm, and with you, Simon, having that L&D experience with your staff. So I hope you found that incredibly useful, and for more information and for more stories on finding your own digital practice, find out more on Accounting Web.